All right. We have two hover threes. We have two amazing players battling for the second playoff spot in Division 1A. And with that, no reason to delay. It is time to play game number 1 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. I need a little bit of a refresh here. Oh, get a little bit of an ad. That's alright. Dan Vweller with the party of 2. Welcome on in. You are here in time for the second of 3 matches I will be hosting for as Alex T and Andy face off in Halo. You know, that's how Mafia works. There we go. Both players, nice clean stacks early going here. Andy gonna set up a nice little tuck and squeeze some pieces to the sides, waiting on a bar. Still waiting. Still waiting. Both players getting a little high up. Finally, the bar comes in for Andy to go to 76k. Alex is on 93, similar line counts. Both players get another score. That is a very neat flat burn with the L there from Andy. So as you saw earlier in the standings page, these two players now second and third, and dang, they're split 50-50 on chances to move into that second playoff spot. So everything to play for in this set. 186 for Alex, 128 for Andy a few lines back at Tetris go to 151. Alex on about a 1.5 Tetris lead here, approaching the 40 line mark in game number 1. Continuing to see amounts pop into that Matcherino. Very much appreciate it all, y'all. Everything adds up. 220 for Andy, 219 for Alex, who's had to do a little bit of digging here, so that lead is basically evaporated, and we are back to being neck and neck, as you'd expect from players of this caliber. You saw in the first set why Dog is so perennially perched at the top of the standings in CTL. Just a terrifying set. But neither of these players slouches either, obviously. And both still looking to guarantee their way to the playoffs and the prize money. 317 for Alex with a bar dependency in the center. Looking for ways to handle it. 359 for Andy, who's taken a slight lead. Now it's Andy's turn to be about a Tetris and a half in front. We approach the 80 line marker in game number 1. And you have to create a couple holes here, nothing major, just slowing things down a smidge bit. Alex just has a bar dependency in column 4, gonna get the bar for it, and now ready to score. 388 playing 409, about a 1 Tetris difference. Alex, well just before bar comes. Andy digging as well, though. Alex is clean now, waiting on the bar. Oh, managing to make that Z piece fly to the left. Does get 1 Tetris, gets another, ready for a third, is at 437. Now a couple lines ahead of Andy, who's at 415. Another Tetris for Alex T, up to 459. Andy is cleaned up, waiting for the bars at 421. Having to create a hole in the stack and then set up another bar dependency. These bars just not coming at any sort of useful time for Andy. Trying to avoid making awkward dependencies. This stack really in trouble. That was an extremely vital S-spin to hit for Andy, or this would have been game over early on in game 1. Still digging. Still waiting on a bar. Alex is taking the chance to really grow on this lead. 531 for Alex, 433 for Andy, who finally gets a Tetris to get some breathing room off the top of the stack at 457, with just a few lines left till transition as well. 463 for Andy, 553 for Alex, who's grown the lead to about 90k the time that Andy was fighting at the top of the stack. Another Tetris for Alex has one more available till transition at 576. Andy's at 465, an absolute struggle here. Goes into transition at 489 with holes in the stack and work to do. Alex is there at 601, adds a score, goes to 625. Andy's setting up a center well. It's only good for a triple right now. Gonna go aggro and wait for this bar. Is it gonna come, though? Not nearly in time, and Andy digging a little bit more. Could be setting up dirty here, even farther up, but no, is gonna take that double. Just try and stay alive here. Alex is at 650. Left side a little bit monk-esque for Alex, too. Now, Alex in a dig situation of his own. Andy is clean at 512. Alex now fighting a little over halfway up the stack or on next box level, but getting some great pieces to burn this down. Gets him well open. 661 for Alex, 539 for Andy. It's a 130,000 point difference. About 140,000, in fact. Alex showing off the speed and the survival ability. You play that aggro, you gotta know how to get out of it too. Alex at 717, Andy's at 567. Covers up the well right when the bar comes. Gets it back open, waiting on another one. Gonna take a triple, just lower things down. Then the Tetris for Andy goes up to 606 into 23. Alex is at 745, now 774 going into 23. So the lead has continued to grow. Alex's aggression coming through here in game 1 and coming through for him as well. 803 in 23. Andy's at 635 and a Tetris go to 664. It's a 139,000 point difference. Alex out in front and looking to try and cruise to a quick game 1 victory. Still nothing that Andy can't fight back against if this lead doesn't get too out of hand, if he doesn't find himself in another dig. And he's 726 now, 757 into 25. Alex trying to find a good way out of this burn situation. 867 takes the Tetris to go 898 into 25. Ahead by 140,000 points right now and behind by 3 lines. And he takes another score, 789. Alex goes up to 929, 140,000 point difference. 3-line difference remaining intact. Andy having to take a couple more skims. 824 now in 26. Alex at 961, it takes Tetris to go into 26 at 993. Another blistering pace. We're going to be seeing them all night, folks. Get ready for these absolutely terrifying scores to continue. 825 for Alex. Left side, though, now looking a little bit spicy. Bar dependency, a little bit difficult to reach. All right, now gets it lower down. Gets that bar over, does Alex. A30 and 27. And he's at B91. Finds a score there, 924, still on 27. Alex is at A65, ahead by 141,000 points. Bar dependency center of the stack, but gonna take the Tetris first, go to B, like flat, just B00. Take a couple of skims here. Andy is at 962. 2 Tetrises left until the kill screen. Burns away one of them with that double. Now 966 with only a single Tetris available. Switched over to rolling has Andy. Alex trying to get the well back open. 1 Tetris available. Andy hit 1 line available. Gets the Tetris going to 29 at A06 and work still left to do. Alex gets the Tetris go to kill screen at B48 with a messy board. But we saw the speed that Alex has during warm-ups. Is he going to be able to dig out of this? Oh my goodness gracious, he is. B62 now for Alex. A59 for Andy. But a Tetris here on 30 to go to A96. Both players still playing here at level 30. B70 for Alex. B35 for Andy. These Tetrises coming in huge. Andy has actually come back and has taken the lead by a few hundred points. B78 for Alex. C14 now for Andy, but that left side getting a little bit dangerous. Now about 5 high. It's set up for a left well Tetris though as Andy. Oh, gotta cover it up. Gotta find a way to dig out of this. There's a triple on the left-hand side for Andy, C29. Alex is at C01, down by about 28,000 points here. Level 32 for Andy, level 33 for Alex, or for Andy. Level 32 still for Alex, into 33, it's C09. Andy looking for something on the left-hand side. This board getting more dangerous. It's going to get harder and harder to dig out of this. I think that's going to be it for Andy. It's C41. Alex is at C25. He's get to C42. We're going to chase down at level 34. C42, the score to beat. C42, the target. C41. C42 with that single. Alex falls behind in kill screen, comes back, and takes game number 1. GG. No luck for Andy tonight. My goodness. Good. God, how is Alex this fast? Oh my God. Y'all are terrifying. You know that? Got a Capri Sun. That's the secret power right there. There's the hover 3 from Alex T. Game 2 coming up. Alex T with a 1-0 lead. Andy looking to try and level things off in this incredibly important set. In 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Though it didn't look like it, Game 1 ended up being an incredibly back-and-forth affair just at the most terrifying time. Post. Both players now having to collect themselves to get back to 18 speeds. Move into Game 2. Both have got 2 Tetrises on the board. Alex's board with minor complications, nothing too dangerous at the moment, especially considering the absurd... What were those S pieces? What were those S pieces? Casual, 18 high right? And he gets well open, gets a score, 98,000. Alex still digging a little bit. Alex playing like he's on level 8. Yeah, no, basically, you're not wrong. But now playing from behind as well, as Andy has been able to find the bars for the scores. Alex finally going to get the board lowered down, is at 111. But a handful of lines ahead as well. 111 for Alex, 39 lines, 35 lines, 145 for Andy, who's squeezing pieces over to the left just to get that Tetris. As we get Game 2 underway. Alex with a 1-0 lead. Oh, but a Hangman Che. That was range. This board getting a little bit spicy for Alex. Really having to make pieces fly to the sides and set up for a T-spin. Did not get it, but gets the bar with the Tetris just barely, and still more work to do for Alex to get out of this little pickle. Andy, taking advantage, is trying to cultivate a bit of a lead here. Oh, great burn. Opens well just in time for the Tetris for Alex. Good God. 189 for Alex, 261 for Andy. Had a Tetris go to 284, nearly 100k lead here at around the 60 line mark on both sides. Alex having to take another safety triple. Playing way high up on the board. You can see the bar counters on each side. Alex getting quite a few less this game, but managing to stay alive and make it work with some very crafty burns and, well, 7 billion hearts. If nobody votes on one side of a prediction, no points are awarded. It just goes, you just get back what you put in, I do believe. 286 for Alex, 333 for Andy. 8-line difference between the two. Andy with a huge pace advantage at this point. Alex having to play quite a bit of survival, and now will have to play quite a bit of catch-up. Andy looking to avenge that Game 1 loss where he had managed to pull ahead in post 29. Over the 100 line marker on Alex T side at 402. Not like Alex is having a bad game, but Andy's at 449 at 95. And pushing down, getting them push down points. 472 at 99 lines. Bit of an awkward J piece for Alex, but setting up some very crafty rooftop burns for it. 426 for Alex, 495 for Andy, who's back by 6 lines after all that high up burning that Alex had to do earlier. The less distance pieces have to drop, the faster you're going to accrue lines if you're staying alive. And that's what's led to this line difference. Alex once again way high up. Once again waiting on bars. Finally gets one for that Tetris. About a 10-bar difference. And that might explain some of the discrepancies, but only some of them. 500 for Alex at 127 lines. Has one Tetris left till transition, and is going to get it to transition at 524. Still a very solid transition score. And he's at 610 with two Tetrises still left available. As Alex gets going on the 19 speeds, which is only going to exacerbate this line difference as the pieces fall even faster now. Tetris for Alex T. 574 into level 20. Andy's at 633, still on 18. Yeah, gets the bar finally for the transition at 657, holding on to an immense lead, both in score and pace. 659 for Andy, 627 for Alex. Andy having to take some safety burns. A huge lead pace-wise, but not necessarily in real-time score. And Andy now getting droughted a little bit here. Beautiful piece for the triple into the Tetris, though, and Andy's going to get this stack lowered back down, get a little bit of breathing room off the top of the screen. 699 for Andy, now 701 with that double. 681 for Alex, but 10 lines out in front. So that 20,000 point lead is a lot more once that's taken into account. Tetris for Alex go to 713. Andy's at 755. Back by a ton of lines. Now 13 lines, but take a Tetris there to go to 783, and the real-time lead stays in Andy's favor to go with an even larger pace lead. Another Tetris for Andy, 811 here in level 22, and Alex hangs a couple pieces in the center of the stack. Needs anything to take some more burns. Gonna have to find a way to get something over to the left. Gets one bar over, but it's gonna need another. Gets it all the way over. Incredible skims, but Alex is not out of this yet. All this time spent burning, though, is going to let Andy try and build this lead farther. But Alex just needs to focus on surviving here. 757 now. Still fighting. Still trying to survive. Anything for the right-hand side now. And that's going to be it for Alex at 763. Andy at 878 is going to tie the set up 1-1. GG. We've got hover threes from both. We're all knotted up at 1. Who's going to break the tie in game number 3? In 3, 1, Tetris. Game 3 underway. Came to an absolute suffer for Alex, and now starting off with lots of bar dependencies. Lots and lots of them. Now set up for an incredibly dirty Tetris up on row 7 and on a left well. I'm just going for a few style points there, and a bar dependency filled in the center, and Alex is going to get out of this very nicely. Get another bar, get a Tetris. Andy at 136, running nice and smooth and clean. 116, although Alex T's score does end in a 69 at the moment. Hey now, very nice, but has to take, oh, still ends in a 69. More bonus. Not anymore, now it's ruined. Andy with a column... Oh, goodness. Some confusion on an L piece and a column 8 well. And Andy's board getting a little bit spicy here. Bar depend on the left. Alex T in a huge mess as well. I just look over and Alex T's playing about 37 off the bottom here, trying to get this well back open. Andy has gotten this burned down. Alex T just trying to get the well open. Again, Andy building up another big lead here in game number 3. Alex gonna get out of that incredible dig, though. 180 for Alex, 236 for Andy, who is now the one with an interesting board. Oh, and all right, gonna get the column 8 Tetris. Couple of holes here to figure out for Andy. Nothing dangerous, just, boy, they're all over. Alex is at 249, Andy's at 265, but there is a 6-line difference. Alex is ahead. Gonna take the Tetris there, though, while Andy is mashing down on that D-pad. When they are both Tetris ready, as Andy takes a dirty Tetris, goes to 293. Alex is at 272, same line count. About a 1 Tetris lead for for Andy. Alex letting out a bra in chat. I didn't do it. You can't prove anything. 340 for Alex, 316 for Andy. The pace lead sitting at about the pace. I'm sorry. That broke me for a moment. Alex T taking a moment to bra in chat. Probably directed at me. .408 for Alex, 408 for Andy. 3-line difference now between the two. A little bit closer, and now Andy gonna have to be burning a little bit here. Stack getting a little bit awkward at around the 90-line mark here. Not that Alex's stack is super pretty, but now it's Andy digging pretty high up on the board. About 18-4. And getting things lowered down, but this is going to afford Alex T the chance to get rid of any lead that Andy had if, a bar ever comes. Finally does, and Alex now the one taking the lead. Andy gets this lowered down. 501 for Alex, 425 for Andy. Both players cleaned up. 525 now for Alex, 15 lines left. A Tetris for Andy to go to 450 with 14 lines left. So Alex on almost a 3 Tetris lead. A little high up, but there's the bar for the score. 571 for Alex, 474 for Andy. A Tetris behind in lines. 496, 595. Again, a 4-line difference. Alex will go to 29 speeds at the next line cleared. Oh! Andy hits a J-spin, but then misdrops the next couple pieces and is going to be transitioning super high up here. And then misdrops a T-piece as well. Gonna need something for the center. Alex is at 646. Andy is digging for his life at 504. Way up high on 19. Eads piece all the way over to the left is gonna get it over there. Great tee for the double. Andy working on surviving a massive dig for his life. Both players tied up at 1 in this set. Andy's gonna get out of this. Absolutely amazing. 546 for Andy. Takes a Tetris, go to 572. Alex, though, takes advantage of that. A huge lead now at 703. Add a Tetris, go to 734 and a 22. Andy's at 600. So now this lead has utterly ballooned. Andy did a hell of a job just surviving that mess, but Alex has absolutely taken advantage. Oh, Andy looked like might have been thinking about setting up super dirty there, but now just needs to get pieces over the spire in the center. Finally gets well back open, gets another Tetris up to 640. Alex is at 824, a 184,000 point lead that has just shown up out of nowhere. Alex now having to uncover the well, so can't use that bar for anything. Needs another one, because getting a little bit high up here on Alex's side as well. There's a bar, there's a Tetris. Alex to 861. Andy's at 701. Add a score to go to 731. Alex with a few burns that are going to be required here. Andy takes another score to go to 762. Now it's only about a 90,000 point difference. But Alex going to wind it back up. Playing on row 2 here. Andy is 795. Alex now at 934. Now the Tetris for Andy, 829 here in 26, 969, 9 times hey now for Alex. Still just playing on row 2 like it's nothing. Now, might be looking to transfer the well back over if the right pieces come. Oh, but basically everything that wasn't the right piece comes, so a few extra burns can be required. Andy, though, also trying to get this well in the right spot. Hits the T-spin this time. Very vital T-spin, but hangs a couple pieces in the center of the stack. This could be extremely dangerous for Andy, and oh, that's gonna be it. Andy's just gonna reset it, call it quits. Alex has already got the max out and then some, and now has got the 2-1 lead. We gotta put this simply here. This is now, for Andy, on the right-hand side of the screen, do or die for the playoff hopes. If you take a look at this, if Alex wins this set, he's gonna pass Andy in points. And that'll be it. Andy wins this set. It'll come down to our third and final set of the night. Dogging out. Got the Capri Sun. We got the Hover 3 from Andy, and we've got a Game 4 to play. Alex with a 2-1 lead, looking to secure a playoff spot. Andy looking to bring us to a decider in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. And we're underway in game number 4. No pressure, just plenty of pressure. as these players play for a spot in the playoffs, and their piece of that prize pool you see bottom center of your screen. Whoever finishes first and second in the standings in Division 1, exclamation mark standings, get to go to the playoffs and have a shot at that prize money. Third place just gets to come back next season. That's it. Tetris for Andy up to 31k, finally getting one after 10 burns. Waiting for a lot of bars, waiting a long time for them. Gonna get a couple now, though. 77 for Alex, 77 for Andy. Neck and neck early going. Neither player with the hottest of starts, but both, you know, extremely capable of turning any start into a good game, even as Andy misses a S-spin over there. Played up on row 3 real casually. Rolling pieces to the sides. Get some of the score there. Dirty Tetris. Hey, have another. Take two. They're small. 128 for Andy. 147 for Alex. A couple of lines back, as now it's been Andy who's been having to play high up on the screen. Exactly, Octagon. Andy with that single, gonna get the well back to ground floor, far right, where it belongs, where it's the safest and easiest. 158 for Andy, had a score to go to 180. Alex is at 170 and doing a little bit of digging, a little high up. Nothing dangerous though. We've seen the ridiculous speed that these players can get pieces moving at. Tetris for Alex, he'd go to 220 and now take a little bit of lead as Andy has got a little bit of cleaning to do here. That J is going to be perfect for it, though. And the bar for the score. 210 for Andy, 243 for Alex. Alex also behind by 6 lines because of the burning that Andy's been doing so high up on the screen. Andy actually set up for a dirty up on row 7 now. 215 for Andy, 277 for Alex. Still waiting in this bar, and it is just taking forever to show up. You can see the bar counters, upper left and upper right corners, and yeah, a little lopsided there. The opposite of how previous games went. 250 for Andy, getting out of that mess for the most part. Would love a J piece. Finally gets it. Gets the well open. 346 for Alex, who sets up a bar dependency in the center of the screen. Finally another bar for Andy. Gets a Tetris to lower things down. Absolutely skyscraping. But surviving. 393 for Alex, 301 for Andy, who is also ahead by about a Tetris worth of lines, but getting things settled down here. Back to a more comfortable position. Alex takes another Tetris up to 419. Andy is at 369, 3 times Hey Nows. Sets up a bar dependency on the left, gets another bar fit in just to get Tetris ready. Alex's pace lead about 3.5 Tetrises right now as we approach transition. 14 lines left for Andy's at 415. Alex at 113 lines at 489. Between 4 Tetrises of pace advantage for Alex, though Andy very clean, picked up another couple of scores there. Alex having to create a hole or two here is going to get a Tetris there. Now to see how Alex tries to fix this up, likely trying to stay as efficient as possible. He does have a game to give here. is gonna take a Tetris on row 3. Andy's in transition already, is at 5-10. Alex still has a few lines left to go, and is gonna look to take another dirty Tetris here. Row 3, column 4 set up for Alex. Andy clean and grooving along on the 19 plus, waiting for another bar, gets it for a score. Alex gonna triple into transition at 566. Andy's at 535. Looking to finish cleaning up this stack here. Up into level 20 now. 539, 540. Alex takes the Tetris 591, back by 8 lines now. Transitioning earlier from Andy, meaning that the line differential just grew a little bit more. Alex not able to convert that S-spin. Has to take a few birds here, but still with a hefty pace lead. 596 for Alex on level 20. Well into level 21 is Andy at 595, and now bar dependent on the left. Gonna get it over. Now has to work on trying to score. Alex got to take a couple more burns here. Not really able to expand this lead further once we've gotten into the post. And in fact, having to continue digging is Alex. This is going to give Andy a chance to try and get into this lead a little bit here, as Alex just has to find a way out of this mess. Great double there, and a single. Well is back open. 612 for Alex. Andy now at 686. 14 lines ahead, but has the real-time lead. Alex can take a Tetris to 642. He's gotten the stack back down and cleaned up. Another Tetris for Alex to 672 into 23, and a quick second one right after, 701. Andy's at 744 in level 24. Alex still with a pace lead, about an 8-line difference between the two players, though it definitely has tightened up quite a bit with the amount of digging that Alex had to do through the early part of post. The thing is, that early part of post not worth nearly as many points as when you start getting to these later levels. Alex at 760, Andy at 810, but ahead by about a level's worth of lines at any point here. Alex having to set up a bar dependency on the left, is going to get a bar over for it, and a double to reopen well. Andy getting a little high up now. Has to take a safety triple. Another couple of safety burns. Andy waiting on a bar, trying to stay efficient while the game refuses to cooperate. Alex at 825, Andy at 829, adds a Tetris. Alex's board getting a little bit spicy as well. Had to throw away the left side a little bit. Does get a Tetris there to lower things down. Alex is going to be digging for a little while here, though. And this is going to be Andy's chance to really try and chew into this lead and perhaps even take a pace lead. 930 for Andy in 27, 864 for Alex in 26. That mess Alex having to clean up is absolutely giving Andy a chance to really come just charging back into this game. 966 for Andy now, A01 in 28. Got the max out with one Tetris left until the thrill screen, the pay the bill screen. There we go at A37. Alex still back at level 27, but still trying to clean up. Going to take a triple, go to level 28 at 887. Andy is at A45, just trying to scale, just trying to clear as many lines as possible, just pick up points anywhere he can. Alex now at 924, one Tetris left until transition, so he's going to be chasing from behind after having the lead through a massive part of this game. We're off and running in post-transition. Alex at 965, Andy at A65, a 100,000 point difference. Andy is way ahead in lines, but at this point, it's going to be about survival. It's going to be who can last longer, who can scale harder. 978 for Alex, A76. For Andy, 100,000 point lead, remaining intact, but Alex's board is in serious trouble. Manages to get that square all the way over, but nothing else. 982, Alex is done. Andy at A89 comes all the way back and forces a decider. GG. All right, we got it ready from Andy. We've got a decider. We've got a hover 3 from Alex. It all comes down to this. In 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Season coming down to the wire for these two players. Andy needs to win this game. Keep the playoff hopes alive. Alex has to face off against Dog after this. And would have one more chance to get desperately needed points to try and pass Andy. Oh, first just had to get that bar over. $96 for Alex, $92 for Andy at a score to go to 115. Separated by less than a Tetris here, early days in game number 5. Alex actually yanking back a bar into column 8. Andy choosing to create a bar dependency to only take a single burn, but then no great place for that square there. Ended up having to take a couple more burns. Damn it. Tetris for Andy, 141. Alex, 124. Alex also ahead in lines a little bit. Andy with a couple holes now to figure out in the stack. Sets up a bar dependency, and it's not really planning out quite right, but not terrible. Alex has got holes down at the bottom of the stack and is just going to... Ooh, he's going to set up a row 3 here for the time being. Tetris for Andy to 197. Alex is at 201. Same line count, 4,000 point difference. Yep, we're in a game 5. I'm going to give a shout out to whichever mod's been setting up the predictions in the chat. Way to stay on it and do a hell of a job. Alex working with a dirty left well setup, just trying to get it open back up because it wasn't open when that bar came, and having to take some more skims now. 259 for Alex, 266 for Andy, who has got a much more standardized well and is also behind by several lines. The problem with these center wells is they can really kill your efficiency, and you can see what it's doing to Alex's right now. 272 at 81 lines, and he's at 312 at 72 lines. They can be huge if the bar comes quickly, but if it doesn't, you would be setting yourself up for trouble. Wow, the pullback on that L. Goodness gracious, that was snappy. 337 for Andy, 79 lines, 93 lines, 321 for Alex. So an enormous pace lead here in game 5 for Andy. Alex's center well gambit not yet paying off, and that's probably not where that S-piece was meant to go. And this board getting a little bit awkward for Alex. Finally a bar for a Tetris there. A good rooftop burn with the T into the L. 350 for Alex at 105 lines. 430 at 97 lines for Andy. The beneficiary of this risky play from Alex. Ooh, 3-6 stacking, but this is NES Tetris, not Guideline. 375 for Alex, 476 for Andy, who's 10 lines back, so that's about a 7 Tetris pace lead as we approach transition. The column 4 well open up for Alex is set up for 2. There's 1. The next one would take Alex to transition. There it is at 415. Andy's at 500,000 with 5 Tetrises left available. This lead is absolutely ballooning out of control, and Alex gonna have to not only maintain the aggression, but get the right pieces with it here through post if he wants a chance to secure his playoff spot now. And he's at 569. Hey now, with still 2 Tetrises available. And he still a Tetris available, 593, going to transition at 617. That's about a 200,000 point difference that Alex is now having to fight against. And is still in this center well, has not been able to get it far down enough. Finally takes a Tetris there. And we may finally see Alex 20 lines into transition start transitioning this well, or we may just see a different center well. We are with a darting Tetris there to go to 496, but Andy's at 645 and back by over 20 lines. The pace lead even more horrendous than the real-time lead. Another dirty Tetris in the center for Alex, who just basically has to find any way to scrounge together points by now. 532 for Alex, gets a Tetris, go to 561. Finally transfers the well back to the right. Andy's at 738, back by 20 lines and ahead by 170,000 points. The thing is, regardless of how much this lead is, you can't exactly relax. You don't have to be as aggro, but you can't just chill out either. There's still Tetris to be played, and we've seen Alex be able to do some amazing things on the 29 speeds. Alex at 626, Andy at 825. Staying low and safe right now.
What and where we are because we have first imagined it. There is nothing like a dream to create the future.
661 for Alex, 830 for Andy, whose stack has gotten a little bit spiry. Not dangerous, just awkward for the moment. Andy likely just playing it safe here, taking these burns, getting it down. Alex is at 696, but is ahead by 20 lines still. Oh, and this board getting way high, getting dangerous. Finally, bar comes for a Tetris for Alex, 732. Andy's at 870 now, but still behind by so many lines. And that piece didn't make it all the way over for Alex. That is gonna spell the end. Alex is done at 733. Andy gets the 3-2 victory in the set and keeps the playoff hopes alive. 57 bars for Alex. Yikers. Yeah, that's disgusting. We'll go ahead and let Andy finish this out before I bring up the standings page and show that there's still something to play for in our final set of the night for Div 1A. There are plenty of matches still left today, Mojo Monkey. One more that I'll be casting for before I hand it off to some other absolutely wonderful folks for Division 1B afterwards. So stay with us. Plenty more action where this has come from. Alright, we roll over to the standings page. Take a look at that. Dog's already got the number 1 spot locked up. gets to play for that share of the prize pool you see on the left. Pixel Andy sitting in second place now with a 91% prize chance. Alex B has a set against dog to play at 9%. A sweep. And Alex passes Andy. Any other result, and Andy will be in the playoffs. That match coming up real soon.